discuss one more essay today, written by one of my students. The format is ЕГЭ. So I would like you to have a look first at the topic and at what has been written. Some people think that knowledge of English can boost our career. So I would like you to focus on separate words from the topic because they are very important and we shouldn't go off topic. I would like you to look at each of the words in the topic and figure out how they can limit us in our logics. So, knowledge of English, okay? Can is about probability. Boost, improve, make it faster. Yeah, our career. So, I would like you now to look at what has been written. Just read it together with me. There has been a dispute whether English language skills are beneficial for one's future work. Some people assume that the more languages a person speaks, the better, while others consider that it's not necessary to speak English fluently to be successful at work. As for me, I believe that knowledge of English provides lots of opportunities. Globalism has been developing for a while and people agreed to make English an international language long ago. That's why today you will hardly get a well-paid job knowing only your native language unless it's English. Moreover, if your job implies communication with foreign citizens, you may need at least the basic knowledge of English. It is essential for human sciences such as ethnographers and linguists. To express the alternative view, there are some exceptions. If you do not have plans of working abroad, then there is no point in learning English. It also works for people who were born in an English-speaking country. What's more, some jobs do not require knowledge of other languages at all. This category includes hard science and low-income brute force jobs. I do not agree with the statements above. Firstly, English is important for people who work with tourists, foreign investors, or politicians. Secondly, usually individuals working at low-paid jobs have a lot of spare time to spend on learning English, so that there are no excuses for them. In conclusion, I want to underline that knowing any foreign language will serve good for your career path. You always need to improve your skills to be valuable on a labor market. I should admit that the student has quite good grammar. That's why I decided to read the original essay to you, because there are not many grammar mistakes. But I would like to draw your attention to his logics, coherence, and maybe some lexical resource, some aspects of it, because they are problematic and can cost him many points in the score, or maybe the whole score for this essay, which is 14. So let's start here and look at the introduction. There has been a dispute whether English language skills are beneficial for one's future work. As you know, it's important that you paraphrase the topic of the essay almost to each word, and he seems to have been able to do that successfully. He has replaced can, he has replaced boost with beneficial, career has been substituted with future work, English, knowledge of English has been substituted with English language skills. It's all very good. And let's move on. The task in ЕГЭ is to show the contradictory nature of the topic, the problematic nature with two opposing parties, and he has also managed to introduce the opposing parties by using such introductory words as some people assume, while others consider. Okay, but if you look at the formulation of the first party's opinion, you will notice that he writes about different languages. The more languages a person speaks, the better. Whereas in the topic, there's only one language, English. This is very important, and he has expanded the topic by introducing the phrase more languages. Some examiners, I would say most of them, will mark it as incoherent, an incoherent sentence. That's why we should try to correct this mistake of my student and think of a better variant. So I would write here the following. Let me turn on the reviewing mode. Okay, cross it all out, and write something like the better the command of English is, the faster career growth is. I have decided to retain the original style of the student with the construction, the more the better. So I use the better, the faster. Okay. As for the opposing party, while others consider that it's not necessary to speak English fluently to be successful at work. Look, we have two instances of work here. I'll mark it as yellow. And I would like to point out the importance of diversifying your vocabulary. And for this reason, I would like to come up with some synonyms for this idea to be successful at work. For example, you can use such a phrase as to rise to eminence in. So it's not necessary to speak English fluently to be successful at work. To rise to eminence in your occupation. In your occupation. We could have written profession, but let's check whether we have already used the word professional. Career growth. It's okay. So I think occupation or profession could both go here. You can choose from these two variants. Okay. Now it sounds more logical, but in any case he loses 1 point for expanding the topic beyond English to many more languages. Okay, let's move on to the second paragraph where you are to introduce your opinion. So he writes, as for me, I believe that. Let me highlight it for you as blue because it's a good introductory phrase for your opinion. Okay, but look what he writes next. I believe that knowledge of English provides lots of opportunities. It should be approached with second thoughts, really, because opportunities may refer not only to career. Career here is a limiting word. We should always think about only our professional growth, okay, about our professionalism, our moving up the career ladder, to top positions in a company or developing your own business. So it's important to to stick to the professional aspect of English knowledge, not personal aspect. So opportunities may be personal, traveling, yeah, communicating with foreign friends, going shopping, reading foreign literature for pleasure. That's why, I don't know, I think it is a very unsafe formulation that he chose, and I would like to improve it, for him not to get marked down. For example, he could write here, knowledge of English provides lots of career opportunities. Yeah, lots of career opportunities. Just one word, career, could improve the matter. Or we could also write is crucial for our involvement as specialists. Now let's look at what arguments he has drawn. He has forgotten to introduce his arguments using phrases, special phrases for that. Let's take in one for him. For example, to begin with, globalism has been developing for a while and people agreed to make English an international language long ago. I would not use here a compound sentence. I would go for a complex one. For example, since globalism has been developing for a while, people agreed to make English an international language long ago. And then he writes that you will not get a well-paid job not knowing English, knowing only your native language. Somehow he wanted to connect this phenomenon, this obstacle of only knowing your language with English being an international language, but I don't see much of the connection here. That's why, I don't know, some examiners may really nag him about it. I would really change it a bit. For example, people have agreed to make English an international language long ago. That's why an employee who is able to help the company develop a presence on the global market will be initially more highly valued than others. Okay, the next argument. Moreover, if your job implies communication with foreign citizens, you may need at least the basic knowledge of English. It's essential for human sciences such as ethnographers. Here it goes the grammar mistake. Ethnography and linguistics, because these are names of fields, not professions. So we can mark it as a lexical mistake each. But returning to the logics. Returning to the logics. he likes speaking some particular cases, very narrow cases. For example, communication with foreign citizens, sciences like ethnography and linguistics. But there are other tasks that you may have to perform in your profession that also require English. For example, you may need to read scientific literature, you may need to post your research in English, you might need to read different instructions and manuals in English which are not available in your native language, whatever. Also, there are other spheres, not only ethnography and linguistics. These ones, they are just pure representatives of jobs that deal with the language itself. But there are others that totally depend on English. For example, physics, mathematics, chemistry, biochemistry, bioengineering, because now all research is being published only in English in some global clouds, data clouds. Okay, that's why it is unprofessional to mention only these narrow fields. It can be potentially qualified as poor logics. That's why we should do it up. For example, we could write that besides in a plenty of jobs, you have to search for information only in English. And you can insert examples for plenty of jobs like bioengineering or linguistics. You have to search for information only in English. And add an explanation. As all modern databases in sciences and in research are maintained in this language. Hence, inability to understand it prevents you from accomplishing anything. Мешает вам что-либо создать. Maybe we should also stick in here the words, for example, yeah? Besides, in a plenty of jobs like bioengineering or linguistics, for example, you have to search for information only in English, as all modern databases in research are maintained in this language. In research and development. Hence, inability to understand it prevents you from accomplishing anything. Okay, let's move on to the opponent's opinion. He has used the introductory phrase, which is very good of him. But let's have a look what the opponents say. They say that there are some exceptions. Evidently, his opponents mean that in some jobs we can do without English. Yes. But I think that he ignored the modal verb can, which is very important and limiting for us here. Let's mark it and have a look at it. The main angle at which we are to look upon English in our career is whether it potentially can boost our career or cannot. We have illustrated in the previous paragraph that it can boost our career and probably it must do that. Most probably it will do it. But it means that the opponents must demonstrate how it cannot boost our career. And it's not about exceptions actually. Exceptions is a slightly different angle. Moreover, we should also write that it cannot boost our career at all. We really can do without it in all spheres. Yes, that's why we should sound more radical. Our opponents should sound here more radical. And we should not speak about exceptions, because exceptions only prove that English can help us in our career. Whereas we should illustrate that it cannot do it, it means in all cases. That's why this is potentially a mistake. Logical mistake. Moreover, some examiners can consider that it is a mistake relating to the first criteria, third aspect, in the introduction of an opposing opinion. It should be really an opposing opinion, not a reconciling opinion, непримирительная точка зрения. Because indeed, exceptions only testify to the potency of English to be our career booster. So we should write that it cannot. How can we write it? English proficiency is not English is not the key to success in our job. That's it, because it should sound totally opposite, totally contradictory. If you do not have, let's look what he drew as arguments. If you do not have plans of working abroad, then there is no point in learning English. By the way, guys, here I would stick in a comma, although for ЕГЭ exams it's not required that you should know it, but I still would like you to know it because it really looks it looks a bit, it really looks poor without this comma. Just for you to know, you should put commas after if clauses, conditional clauses, yeah, when they stand on the left of the main clause, слева от главного. So if you don't have plans of working abroad, then there is no point in learning English. Why is it no point in learning English? He should have illustrated how it is not the key to success. Evidently, he wanted to say that if you do not work abroad and never will there is no point in learning English because it will not be needed here in your motherland. I think that the sentence about people who were born in an English-speaking country is a bit irrelevant here, because initially it only provides excessive wording. We have already got a lot of words, and we shouldn't go through this ceiling. Yeah. If you do not have plans of working abroad, then there is no point in learning English. Why? So there is lack of explanation, and it could also qualify as an insufficient argument, or as just poor logics. It depends on the examiner how they will perceive it. What's more, some jobs do not require knowledge of other languages at all. Still, it's about exceptions. In the place of opponents, I would have written, or in the place of my student, I would have written that it's not the English that's necessary now, because now we can use different automatic translators like Google Translate, or we can hire human interpreters to help us in negotiations or with our scientific work. Yeah, we could rely on technology very well now. But as long as he has written something about jobs that do not require English knowledge, being exceptions in this aspect, let's try to elaborate what he has written, and then I could also offer my vision of what opponents could write. So, if you don't have plans for it, then there is no point in learning English. And I think that instead of what's more, we'd better write here, because some jobs do not require knowledge of other languages at all. Better to say foreign languages at all. And it should be kind of one argument. For opponents, it's quite enough to have one argument, actually. This category includes hard science and low-income brute force jobs. Hard science is technical sciences or exact sciences. It's very short-handed approach. Really, hard sciences now heavily rely on foreign and global databases of discoveries, inventions, and observations, and formula and whatnot. And they are all in English. How come? What can I do with that? Maybe we could just... Okay, we could leave it at that. Оставим это так. We could leave it at that and move on. I do not agree with the statements above. Okay, it can go. A good introductory phrase for your rebuttal. Then, firstly, English is important for people who work with tourists, foreign investors, or politicians. But what about hard sciences? He should have disproved the idea that English is not needed in such jobs like hard sciences. in the field that in such jobs as those in the field of hard sciences, low income brute force jobs and such like that, and such like. Whereas he has written about tourists, foreign investors, and politicians, totally different ones. That is pretty much not to the point, and it can be qualified as a criterion 1 mistake. That is aspect 4. The explanations why the author is not does not agree with the opposing opinion. That is rebuttals and counter arguments. Let's correct the counter arguments. Again, we should anchor them to jobs mentioned by the opponents, right? So how can we rebut it? We can repeat our idea of modern databases in research and development as to hard sciences, for example. Okay, let's do it. Hard sciences, or I'll provide a synonym for it, technical sciences. Nowadays, are deeply integrated into the global, market. A scientist cannot invent anything unless they are capable of working with English data, data. And let's connect these. Therefore, a scientist cannot invent anything unless they are capable of working with English data. We could also use the word also. Technical scientists nowadays are also deeply integrated into the global market. Therefore, a scientist cannot invent anything unless they are capable of working with English data. But let's better say working with materials. Presented in English. Secondly, usually individuals working at low, I would say not in, but there is another preposition, guys. It's a mistake. So it's a grammar mistake. You know, if you misuse a preposition, it's K4, grammar mistake. Working in low-paid jobs have a lot of spare time spent on learning English. This is absolutely far-fetched, притянуто за уши. Usually people do not care about learning English, and they may not have a lot of spare time, especially if they are married and have a lot of children and a second job and whatnot. So there are no excuses for them. Of course there are excuses for them. Why should anybody force anybody else to learn English. It's another topic, really, another. Secondly, usually individuals working in low-paid jobs want to find better options in other fields or other countries. Which inevitably confronts them with the need to study English. Also, I would not use secondly here. I would use an anchor phrase like as for individuals working in low-paid jobs. They often want to find a better option in other fields or other countries, which inevitably confronts them with the need to study English. In other words, this international maybe international language or international tongue. Tongue is a synonym for language here. Can be has become indispensable in all fields today. So, conclusion. In conclusion, I want to underline. Let's take it. Okay. Let's look at the conclusion. In conclusion, I want to underline that knowing any foreign language will serve good for your career path. Well, again, the student has mentioned any foreign language instead of English, making the same mistake. So what we can do here, we should mark it as an indistinct logics, as indistinct logics, and better it by saying knowing English will serve good for your career path. I would like to introduce an intensifier as something like will undoubtedly, not for your career path but for you. That's why it's better to say for your development as a professional. Serve good, not serve good, but do good. And we can mark it as a lexical mistake, misuse of the verb. So we'll undoubtedly do good to, not for. It's another mistake. It is already a grammar mistake. K4. So in conclusion, I want to underline that knowing English will undoubtedly do good to your development as a professional. You always need to improve your skills to be valuable on a labor market. What skills, guys? Again, where is English? So, you always need to improve your English skills, the English language skills to be valuable on the labor market. There's usually only one labor market, that's why the article there is better here, and can be marked down accordingly. And why not connect these two sentences? English will undoubtedly do good to your development as a professional. Therefore, haven't we used therefore before? Let's see. I can't see it, but in case we have used it, we can also say so. You always need to improve your need. Need sounds like you have to, you don't want to, but you have to, like compulsion. But if it is like your personal opinion, the author's opinion, we use must or should at least as recommendation. So the examiner may nag at him here for this as well. So must, should improve your English language skills to be valuable on the labor market. So that's it. We have improved it. We will now work out the total score. Okay guys, now let's try to evaluate this essay. As for the negative scenario, he may get a 0 for addressing the communicative task, failing to express the opposing party's opinion, and give failing to give proper arguments for it, as well as failing to disprove the opponent's party properly. And that's it. That will be quite enough for him getting a 0 for all this work, which I do not wish for him. That's all for now, guys. I think I will provide a clean version without mistakes of the final version of this essay. You can learn it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.